Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3. Today we're going to be looking at hip mobility. Alrighty, so one factor that can affect hip mobility, which we aren't going to dive into today, but definitely should be noted, is your pelvis position. So because our hip is in like a ball and socket joint, if we have excessive anterior pelvic tilt, it can immediately close off room in that joint socket so that when we go down into a deep squat, it can impinge on the front of that hip and restrict our range of motion. So this is caused by a combination of muscular tightness and weakness, and it is a whole issue in and of itself. So if you guys would like us to elaborate on pelvis position a little bit more, especially how our sitting dominant lifestyles can affect it, then just drop a comment down below and we'll do it in a future video. But today we're just going to show you guys a couple of exercises that you can use to not so much help with joint restriction, but to release and loosen up those stiff and tight hips before squatting and other hip flexion exercises.
As you guys know, we really encourage using trigger pointing before we get into any exercise or any dynamic kind of mobility work and stuff here at Hammer Athletics. So what we're going to run through now is just a few areas that are important to target for those hips. So the first one we're looking at is the glute max. That's that big meaty area that we've been at backside that we've been using. So going down, if you've got a golf ball, a tennis ball, anything kind of hard or a trigger tool to be used, that's what you will be looking for. So using the trigger ball, what we're going to do is almost roll around and find that area where it might be a bit tight or might be kind of a bit prominent, or it might even be a bit sore around there. And once you get to that position, just sitting on it and holding it for around 30 seconds. So next area we're going to focus on, guys, is our glute med or our hip external rotators. So from that position, from our glute max, want to roll the ball up just a little bit higher. So from that kind of that pointy part of our back, that bony prominence, move just a little bit inferior and down from there. So again, we're just rolling around, finding that tight or that area where it might be a bit ginger and sore, and holding it for 30 seconds. And the final area we're going to focus on for our triggering is our TFL, okay? So this area is great if you have a finer kind of trigger point, such as a golf ball or just a device. It's got a nice point. So this one will get side lying for this position. So this muscle is from our kind of the front of our pelvis, that really prominent part, and it comes down and attaches to our iliotibial band, okay? So side lying, find that tissue area between those two landmarks and push that ball onto it until it should be quite ginger and a bit sore through here. And again, just roll onto it and maintain that position there. So we recommend for this exercises, guys, these mobility and these triggering, we recommend 3 sets of 30 seconds in each position before getting into those dynamic exercises. Okay guys, next we're gonna look at a stretch that work on our hip flexors. So down in our lunge position, making sure we've got a nice wide stance or kneeling position. From here, what we're going to do is we want to rotate our pelvis back, okay? What we should feel here is a nice stretch to the front of the thigh. The progression from this is then using our left knee to drive that over our toes and really put further stretch throughout these hip flexors, okay? In this position, another progression is what we can do. We can bring our upper body through, and then using our left arm onto our left leg, really drive that out and get a good stretch through the groin and our inner thigh on the opposite leg, while still maintaining a stretch on our back leg there. Hold it, get that good stretch, and then coming back up. Again, we recommend 3 sets of 30 seconds hold for these exercises.
Alrighty guys, so the next one we're going to do is a mobility exercise called the fire hydrant or bulldog. So what you're going to do is come down into that quadruped position, so on all fours. During this, we want to keep our abs engaged and have no movement at the lumbar spine, so it's all happening through the hips. So the first one we're going to be doing is going to be bringing our leg out to the side while maintaining nice engaged abs. So we're going to do 10 of these, hip abduction. And then after that, what we're going to be doing is a kick back and a rotation in. So on the same side, you're going to bring that leg back and rotate it in. So try and get that knee as high to the ceiling as you can. And we're going to be going 10 of these as well, and then swap over and do the other leg.
Okay guys, our final mobility exercise for today is focusing on our hip external rotations and really putting them on stretch, okay? So for this exercise, we're gonna start with a regressed one. So finding a little stool or something small where you're able to plant our bottom on. So for example, we're using a few plates here. So we're getting into that deep squat position, okay? From here, what we're gonna do is rotating that hip in, okay? You can rotate your foot also. Try to keep those hips as square as you can, and you get a nice stretch across the hip there. Again, then we can rotate, slide, do the opposite slide, bringing that in. The progression from this exercise will be getting into our deep squat position. So coming into here and rotating that foot across and getting that good stretch through. Right, whilst maintaining that good, try to maintain those hips nice and square as you can.
Alrighty, so that's all from us today, guys. So as we mentioned earlier, if you want us to elaborate onto that pelvis position into another video, then let us know. Otherwise, stay tuned for shoulders next episode.